Welcome to the Choose Happiness podcast. I am so excited to have you meet my guest today. It is Nicole Trincia coming to us from San Francisco, California. And before we say hello, I just want to read to you her mission statement. She is a life and career coach, and this is what she's about. She says, I empower high achieving, independent women to slay self doubt, confidently claim their true calling, and thrive in their purpose through my Discover Your True Calling program. Yes. Welcome, Nicole. Hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Rachel, and thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you. So, a little bit about you. You are an International Coaching Federation professional certified coach specializing in career clarity and confidence. Where were you 20 years ago? For me, I have to say. And you specifically partner with high achieving professionals, including executives and entrepreneurs, to define their career paths and lead with purposeful passion, which oh my gosh, I love that so much. And along with your certified coaching certification in ICF, you are a 10-year certified Martha Beck Wayfinder coach, an active San Francisco chapter ICF member. You also hold a BA in psychology and a master's degree in education. Wow. Plus, you have developed intuition through nearly 2 decades of holistic health practice. We have so much to talk about. But first of all, could you just walk us through your journey to becoming a certified life coach? And was this always the plan, or was there maybe a different career plan in mind?
Yeah, no, this wasn't the plan, just so you know. I had numerous plans and challenges that led me to discovering my true calling as a coach. My journey really began in the beginning. I grew up with divorced parents. I flew alone cross country from the age 7. Between them, I moved 22 times through childhood, which I think you might share a similar
Oh
experience.
my
Um,
goodness.
these experiences early on really instilled a deep sense of independence, but also left me yearning for stability.
Mm.
I adapted as a people pleaser, a perfectionist, and later on as a serial career changer who spent nearly 2 decades in unfulfilling jobs. So I resonate with you entirely. Where was I 20 years ago for myself, right?
Right,
um,
right.
um, but so my career path began in psychology, as you mentioned, in my college in psychology, trying to make sense of the chaos that I grew up with. Took me through various self-doubting pivots, including classroom teacher, public relations, selling homes, massage therapy, until I found coaching. There are a few others peppered in there, but I won't bore you with those. Those were
Right.
the key professions. But then there came the day. I was driving home from another grueling Saturday of doing back-to-back massages, and I couldn't feel my hands on the steering wheel. I was completely numb from my elbows down, and I really didn't think I was going to make it home. Um, this was my wake-up call, and then it was closely followed a couple months later by a breast cancer diagnosis.
Oh, goodness.
Um, So these two incidences forced me to quit my paralyzing jobs and reevaluate my path immediately. The jig was up. I could no longer keep pretending.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
my
Wow.
body was letting me know loud and clear that I was just doing too much and not doing the things that really served my soul and my happiness. So these life-altering events really taught me the fragility and preciousness of life. It led me to some deep soul searching where I had to rediscover my lifelong passion and my gift and my roots in psychology, my love of learning, my emotional intelligence, my somatic intuition, and my internal optimism,
Mhm.
and my personal experience of being transformed by coaching a decade ago that began before I dabbled back and forth into these other careers. So there was a lot of back and forth. It was not a clear path by any means.
Mhm.
I had to lean into the profession that I knew changed my life, which was coaching. The answers were always there within me, as they often are for us all, but I just had to lean into it. I learned to work through my fears, trust myself, and align with my passion and purpose as a
Mhm.
coach. This
Mhm.
is why I now empower other high achieving independent women who are stuck in unfulfilling careers to overcome the self doubt, to confidently claim their true calling, and to thrive in their purpose so that they can find happiness.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I love the fact that you've been through so much and can take, somatic information from doing the massages and dealing with people at a crossroads in their life, for example, while you're selling homes and all these different things that you've done. That's the life coach that I want, who's been there, done that. This is my experience. And I think,
Yeah.
if you will, if someone just wants to, I hate to say this, but hang a shingle out and say, "Hey, I'm a life coach." It's like, what have you been through? Because I feel like you can take a class or a certification and that's all wonderful, but you have to bring your own journey to each client. And I'm glad you have a diverse background because then you can really personalize it to each person. You're not a cookie cutter life coach, I would imagine, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely having that life experience. The credentials, of course, are important
Oh, yes,
to,
yes.
have the understanding and be able to effectively guide people through the process and set goals and hold accountability and create the space, and all of those things are absolutely important, that are more than just having a conversation, right? Or,
Right.
anyone can call themselves a coach and have all the best intentions, right? But having the structure and the skill to know what to focus on in a session and how to support someone, absolutely important. But having the life experience, I have to say, is a defining factor. And I know that's one of your upcoming questions, so I won't let the
Oh,
cat out of
that's
the bag too
okay.
soon on that. But
Wow, that is just so helpful. And you're right, because the combination of the two, because again, yeah, we can talk to each other about our experiences, but when you have those coaching tools to impart, that's really what someone's looking for. Because we can talk to our friends and say, "Hey, I'm feeling unfulfilled," and all that. But then when we have a trained person to listen and then say, "Okay, here's one, two, three, four, maybe something to try," and that brings me to the next question, which is your true calling. Oh, I love this so much. Can you tell us about how you develop that and how you implement that with your clients?
yeah, absolutely. So my Discovery True Calling program is a 12-week group coaching journey. It's designed to empower high achieving independent women to slay self doubt, confidently claim their true calling, and thrive in their purpose. It's specific to that, as you said, not just general coaching, but specific to this journey that I've experienced personally myself. And I'm passionate about supporting other women using the Align method. And this is a method that I designed specifically for this program. It's comprised of 5 pillars. So the A stands for acknowledge. You discover and embrace your core why. That's at the beginning and the root of this journey. So that you can understand the core motivations that are lying beneath what your passion and purpose is. A lot
Mm,
of people go into jobs for various reasons that are not their own, right? But until we are able to uncover and discover what our core why is, our core motivation, we're going to be on the wrong track from the get go. So that's the first step. A is to acknowledge. And we do this so that you can start getting some clarity and deeply connect to your values from the get go. So then you can be empowered and motivated to continue the rest of the journey. The
mm,
second step, the L in the Align, is locate. It's locating and uncovering your inherent values, your strengths, your passions, and where the intersection of that is, so that you can start to identify, well, what are you naturally good at? What are you
mm.
naturally passionate about, as I did through my own journey? And then it's also to build confidence in that, to recognize that you actually have a lot of skill or strengths that you might not even know about.
Yes,
So it's
yes.
yeah. So that builds clarity, but also builds confidence simultaneously. So we're starting to build the clarity and confidence early on. The third step is to ignite, and that is breaking through the limiting beliefs.
Mm,
I really yeah, breaking through the limiting beliefs. And it's clearing the mental barriers that get in our way. So sometimes that is the big thing. Everybody's a little bit different of what holds them back. Sometimes it's the clarity, sometimes it's the limiting beliefs. So the
Mm,
Ignite helps us start to build that confidence and start to tap into that optimism that it also empowers us through this journey. The
mm.
G is to guard, and that is establishing boundaries to protect your personal space and your peace. So important. And certainly, as from my experience of being a people pleaser, and many other women who are in this stuck and unfulfilling jobs, the people pleasing and the challenge of setting boundaries is a big part of claiming their true calling. So we want to guard that space. The N, the last step is navigating. So we develop and follow a personalized action plan that is broken. It's very structured and broken down into small achievable goals so that you have a clear path of what your step is, each step is along the way. So that's my align process. And I just want to reiterate again, many women live in narratives that aren't their own. And so
Mm.
this program helps to dismantle the limiting beliefs and guides them through a very structured path of self-discovery and alignment with their personal values, empowering them to make confident choices, creating a life of purpose and fulfillment they deserve.
Wow. I need a moment to just take all this in because it's so brilliant. And I have to say, what resonated with me the most was the G for guard, because I feel like so often, especially as women, we have these expectations that were put on us maybe by somebody else in our upbringing or whatever it
Yeah,
is. And if we say, I want to make a career change, this is what's right for me, there's gonna be backlash. Why would you do that? Why would you can't do that? So that I think that's so it's really mind-blowing because I feel like we do encourage, do this, it'll be great, blah blah blah, but we forget about the part of what to do when either we hit roadblocks or when other people come in unsolicited, I might add, to give us their opinion. So that is so, I'm going to really take that, the whole thing, but especially the guard into my
yeah,
own life with kind of with everything. Have you found
yeah.
that to be a big, a real, or and a difficult, I would imagine, step for people?
Oh, for sure. That's certainly been a big step for me personally, and I know for my clients as well. Is again, I grew up as a people pleaser, perfectionist. I was the youngest of four. There was a lot of chatter going on in the background and advice given.
Yeah.
Hence my various other paths that I explored. Coaching be the last one. It wasn't until I think I was 40, so
Mm.
not that long ago, right? In my career path. So being able to filter that noise and set very firm boundaries so that you're able to even hear. A lot of people don't even know
Yeah.
what their own heart and voice is telling them.
Sure.
So that personal practice of
Yeah.
protecting your space and being able to tap into that is so essential, and so essential for a lot of the women that I work with.
Oh, yeah. And you brought up a great point where even if there aren't literally people in our ears telling us there's all those old tapes playing saying you can't again, you can't do this, or you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're not insert something enough. So
Yeah,
really that guarding against that is such an important step. And the word align is so magnificent because that's all we're looking for, what aligns with our true values and beliefs and where we want to go. And as women, I think we do tend to veer off of that to please others. So I think
yeah.
that's a magnificent, it's just magnificent. Thank you for sharing it. And we will definitely have links so people can look at that when we're all done here. Um, and I'm curious, why does the career part resonate with you so much at this stage of your life? I think you do both life coaching and career coaching, but your focus is on the career. Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, I really have shifted away from general life coaching, and this is why. So
Mm,
when you have a cracked tooth, right? You don't just go to the nearest medical center or any old walk-in clinic, right? Or even your primary care. You go
mm,
to a dentist. And often more than not, the dentist is going to send you to an endodontist. to assess the root cause of the crack to, get into that's even more specialized than just a dentist. And
Mm.
so it's the same with coaches. Um, there are many coaches in the world, but fewer that specialize on the exact problem or challenge that you're working on, which in my case is women who are stuck in unfulfilling careers.
Mm.
And even better is someone who is not only specializing in the exact problem or challenge that you're and goal that you're working towards, but someone who's also lived that experience
Mm-hmm.
and is really has that deep understanding, but also has found some of the solutions and the lessons learned that then can be shared. So that's why I focus on this specific niche specifically, because it is specific. And it
Mm-hmm.
also enables people to find me more easily,
Yeah.
right? Because like, where do you start in the world of life coaches? There's so many out there, right? But if you find someone that's, hey, this is my challenge. Oh, here's this person. They've had the same challenge. This is a good place to start to see if we're a good
Yes,
fit.
right.
So it's multifold. And at this stage of my life, empowerment coaching, it's really empowerment for me. It's a journey of empowerment and resilience,
Mm.
as you probably heard through my life story. It's
Mm.
empowerment coaching, but by the way of career. It resonates with me because I see career as a profound lever for change.
Mm.
Our careers are not just isolated aspects of ourselves, but they are deeply intertwined with our identities and our
Mhm.
overall happiness, which ties back to the empowerment, which is so resonant for me. Helping women align their career choices with their life purpose allows them to bring the best parts of themselves into all aspects. So, career is just kind of like the vehicle for doing that.
Sure.
And it's
That
also my personal experience. So, that's why
that makes
career
so much
coaching.
sense. Thank you. And if we are going to spend 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week at work, it shouldn't be drudgery, obviously, but some of us feel like, well, that's just it's why it's called work. That's what work is. And I
Yeah.
wonder too, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, so often we're taught, especially as women, break the glass ceiling. We have to get as high as we can. You're not successful until you're a CEO or whatever the message is. And I wonder if you come across women who maybe are at a great point in their career and they think, it's better for me to take a step back and do something different or more creative. And I would imagine that's as hard to navigate as it would be to try to shoot to the top. Have you found that?
Yeah, I'm having a deja vu moment. I feel like I've been, but yeah, for sure. Um, it's not career coaching in the sense of like how do I just take the next step forward? That's more like executive and leadership coaching. This is
Mm.
really different. This is really a coaching and empowerment and a tapping into the heart and the authenticity. So it's really finding not just how do I get ahead on this path that I'm already on,
Mm.
it's how do I and sometimes I work with women that don't necessarily want to leave their job, but they just want to find the joy and their authenticity in that current role.
Wow.
Others 100% want to leave. They want out of the
Yeah.
corporate world or whatever it is they're doing. It's not just corporate, it's others.
Hmm.
And some just are straight up want to become entrepreneurs. So there's kind of different categories that fall within that. But I think
Mm.
what's the through line for all three is that tapping into their heart, their truth, their joy, their passion, their authenticity, their freedom to be themselves,
Mm.
the freedom to put themselves first and to think about, well, what do they want? Not just what do their kids, their family, their spouse, their work, their coworkers, right? It's that
Yeah.
self-empowerment is true to all three.
Wow. I will say again, where were you? Because don't you think you kind of you look for the job that's quote the right job and you take it and you might move up and you never once consult your heart because you're just consulting all the noise and all the nonsense. So that is, and it's interesting because I feel like when we look for a life partner, we look to our heart, and when we do things like buy a home or take a next step, whatever, we look to our heart. But I feel like women especially don't do that in their careers, and I think we all need to. Everybody needs to.
Yeah. 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 A lot of it is societal. Personally, I think it's kind of societal norm and expectation.
Hmm.
Um, we all have our own personal kind of drivers, and that's why we spend in the first section doing that um, acknowledge piece where we go deep into understanding our why, right?
Right.
To identify, well, why are we going after this particular job? And there's a lot of surface, superficial reasons why, but we really spend a lot of time going deep to get below those kind of immediate superficial, not superficial that they're any less than, right? But going deep into what's important and then connecting to that. Well, if this is really your core motivation and your values, how do we then bridge the gap and bring you back into alignment to match that so that you can be at peace, so you can be happy? And I know even personally for me, it was a big shift. I didn't feel like there were times where I didn't feel like coaching was good enough. It didn't make enough money, or it didn't, there's all the, whatever your stories are,
Hmm.
and scarcity beliefs are, we all have our own, right? But
Hmm.
sometimes it's also some personal alignment. We have to get aligned with ourselves
Right.
first and
Yes.
foremost.
Yes. Do you ever meet up with some resistance with a client if you're talking about authenticity and they can't kind of tap into that? Do you have to help them sometimes? That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are very entrenched with, you know, they're a lot of women are the breadwinners these days.
Right.
So they're carrying a lot of other people and responsibility, and it's sometimes really hard to break through that. But it
Hmm.
often comes around
I would imagine.
with time.
Yes, right. And
We
I
can't deny our heart. We we can't deny our heart, and our bodies will let us know.
our
And that's what
yeah,
happened for me.
like you said,
Our
exactly.
bodies will let us know.
It's so
I
true.
I I did the dance for decades, so
Yeah.
our bodies will let us know, and thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I'm knocking. Good.
Yeah. Well, not that we want to wish illness on ourselves, but yeah,
No, no, of
our
course, but just pay
yeah,
attention. Maybe catch the
yeah,
whispers first, right?
yes,
Yeah.
for sure,
I struggle with that
for sure,
myself.
and and that's part of what women that work with me longer too, start to develop that skill. That is part of body intuition. It's definitely part of what we get into as well.
Right, right. Because there's so often, I always say trust your gut. And because I just 100%, it's always right. But there are so many voices and so much noise that sometimes we can't hear it. So that's when we have to get quiet and we have to really again set up those boundaries and say, what is my own body, mind, soul, spirit? What is that telling me? And I love that you're able to kind of take all those layers off and help people get to that gut piece because that's in the heart because that's what we
Yeah.
already know. Like you said, we already know. We just don't know that we know, I guess. Right. And if your clients must learn so much from you, and I'm sure you must learn as well from your clients. Can you share some things you've learned from doing this for decades and specifically with women?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the greatest thing about coaching is I continually get to learn new perspectives all the time from my clients, which is wonderful. And I love psychology and just this work. So my clients are my greatest teachers. And I've discovered if I had to pick um, two things that or two themes I'd say that would stand out for me is embracing imperfection and vulnerability. So um, many high achieving women I work with strive for perfection, and they often equate vulnerability with failure. However, I've learned that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. And embracing our flaws and imperfection is what truly liberates us. So, that embracing imperfection is something that comes up regularly through my sessions. And so that's one of them. And when my clients allow themselves to be imperfect and vulnerable, they are more able to connect with themselves. Like I was saying, first and foremost, the battle is often within. But then once that connection is made, they are then able to open that up to their relationships in the workplace, with their partners, with their families.
Right.
Um, this leads to a greater sense of peace and happiness, as well as um, deeper sense of connection,
Mm,
and a sense of community. So I think those two pieces, the embracing imperfection and the vulnerability,
hmm.
and it's also important in this journey of career transition in particular, because you need to embrace that imperfection. It's a hard making that switch, right, to a new
Yeah.
career or becoming an entrepreneur, or
Mm,
um, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be messy. There's going to be periods of self-doubt. So that's that embracing that imperfection, and that training that we go through, essentially, I
mhm.
say, like boot camp of practicing imperfection,
Yeah.
is essential to that transition. And it's vital for us, the vulnerability, both I think they kind of go hand in hand,
Mm,
um, for taking on risk and taking bold action of making those career changes.
mhm. I,
So
th those are two things I struggle with, I will say, imperfection and vulnerability. You do,
me too. Yeah.
as all the hands of listeners are raised at once,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, wow, this is you've given me so much to think about. And I also I think as women especially, we're not allowed to be vulnerable at work. We have to have the mask on. We have to and allowing I love when you said about how you don't only coach people to change their career, but to change how they may feel in their current career. That's huge because if they can't leave for whatever reason or don't want to leave, but just how to make it more livable and more pleasant, perhaps bringing that vulnerability into the workplace can show their coworkers, here's what I need. I've been doing this, for so long. Now I need to take this new step. And you can only do that through vulnerability, but that's so hard. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that a lot, especially, and typically male, not, I love my males out there. I don't want them to
Yes,
think
yes, of course.
but that's a common dynamic that's carried over the generations, right? Is women that have male bosses, or they feel this pressure to act like a man and be like a man.
Mhm.
And, men face this too. It's not just
Yes.
but it's, a little bit different dynamic for women to feel like they have to act more like a man in the workplace.
Mhm.
And you're 100% right. Even for male leaders, right? Being vulnerability is actually a strength. It's a way that it shows to other people that it's okay to be human. It's okay to
Yes.
be it's okay to be real and to have needs and to not be perfect all the time. And so by doing that, you make it safe to invite others to do the same and be more transparent and to
Oh,
connect with you and to collaborate with you.
and exactly, because we all do collaboration at work, and that's oftentimes when it's, if you will, robot versus robot, because you figure we want to be perfect and we don't have any vulnerability and we're just a robot. When there's no emotion in that, that's when people really start to butt heads and then things don't get done. So I love that it's true. If someone can show their own vulnerability, it will encourage others to do the same, which ultimately I feel like will lead to success. I mean, how could it not? Because it is two human beings. It's not two robots. Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
I just love talking with you. Thank you so much.
We need more than a half hour.
I know, right? It's true. It's true. So, if someone's looking for a career coach, what do you think is the most important thing for them to look for? Because, like you said, there's a lot out there, and it might be hard to kind of sift through. Are there certain keywords or something that, please?
Yeah. So, definitely credentials are important. I think they're helpful because there's a lot of people that are calling themselves coaches and they might not necessarily. Great, wonderful. We need more coaches, and it's great their hearts are there. But definitely having someone who has the expertise and can provide the structure and the professionalism to guide you through your journey effectively is important. The successes tends to be a little higher, but I think ultimately is the connection, right? So finding someone that you personally resonate with, that's your style, right? So both professionally and personally. So personally, do they have the same values as you?
Mm.
Um, are they, do they, is their approach resonant with you? Does it work for you? Because people have different styles or ways of communicating or, you know, that they resonate with. Some people like a firmer approach. Some people like a friendlier approach, right? Everybody's got their
Yeah.
own kind of flavor, if you will.
Mhm.
But again, it kind of goes back to, I also think aligning with someone who's been through your journey is also very powerful.
Right.
So it's a combination, the credentialing, the style, but then also the personal journey. I think those three
Mm.
things, if I were out looking for a coach, and when I do get coaches, which I have a coach now,
Mhm.
um, that's what I look for.
Yeah, the resonating with the style is so important because I think even like when you go to a like a PCP, like a doctor, oh, look at the credentials. Well, maybe I'm looking for someone with good bedside manner or something like that, and they don't have that. That's not a good fit for me. And I've heard people say, I don't need another friend for my doctor. I just want someone who's going to give me the, So I
Yeah.
think it is so important to. Now, I was going to say, if it's not a good fit, I mean, like, do people should feel comfortable saying this really isn't a good fit? Because I know I would kind of feel bad, like, but as a coach, is that the right thing to say? Like, are we allowed to say, I'm really sorry, it's not a good fit?
For the coach to say it
For
to the
the
client.
client to say to the coach, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
okay,
Yeah,
because I would always be
absolutely.
like, sorry, people
Yeah.
pleasing, right? People pleasing.
Then it's like 6 months later, you're down the road with, oh boy, when is this relationship going to end?
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but no, absolutely. And a good coach should offer a complimentary discovery session, which is what I do to make sure that it is a good mutual fit, right? It's like an interview. It should be two ways. It should feel right for the coach. You should feel like your services match the goals of the client,
Hmm.
right? That's why you don't want to you can't coach to everybody. You're not really serving people best if you're trying to coach to everybody,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
so it should feel like a good fit. Do I feel like my services match the needs of this client? And
Mhm.
for the client, is this person is what they're offering match the goals that I have?
Yes,
Right. So does
right.
the product match? Does the offering match? And does the person, do you feel comfortable?
Hmm. Oh, that's
Is it
great to know. So they need to have, I didn't realize about the no cost first session. I would think you'd have to have that, right? Like, but I don't know if everybody does. So that's definitely something to look for.
yeah. Yeah, I offer it for sure. It's
Yeah.
better to have a good fit. And if it's not, then there's, you know, you get to choose somebody else.
Yes, right. Exactly. Exactly.
We don't have to be everything to everyone.
Exactly. Which goes back to like everything that we're already like talking about. So,
Yeah.
I especially love what you say on your website bio. You say, I am an eternal optimist, inspired by each and every individual's freedom and power through choice. Yes, so much yes. This mindset aligns perfectly with Choose Happiness, where we emphasize that happiness is a choice and not a result. What are your thoughts on choosing happiness and how do you apply them in your own life and communicate those ideals to the clients that you coach?
Yeah, I so resonate with that too, Rachel. And I know a lot of times people wait, they get in this like if then mentality. It's like they want something first and able to do the thing.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they think they have to wait to be happy first to then do such and such. When
Hmm.
really it's quite the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on us to be proactive, as I learned early on in childhood, right? It was chaos. Things were not happening for me, or it was chaotic, right? So I had to find a way, right? It was a responsibility, but it was also freedom to
Hmm.
make that choice.
Oh, I love that. A responsibility and a freedom. Yes. Wow. Responsibility to ourselves. To have,
To ourselves, right? To
yeah.
take it on. Because some
Yeah.
people, and that's part of what we work through in the limiting beliefs is some people, they don't want to, right? It's like, I don't want to. I wanted to, like the little kid screaming, I want my
Yes.
candy. I want my candy.
Yes, right.
Right? I don't want to. I want this, but when we're able to do that, and as grown adults, we recognize, well, we can choose, and we
Mm.
all have that choice, and that's, yeah, I could talk a long time about this, but I'll try to keep it simple,
Oh, right.
right? So I firmly believe that happiness is a choice.
Hmm.
We, it's on us to make the choice, but we all have that as human beings. I think of the book by Viktor Frankl as one of my favorite,
Same.
right?
Yes.
Unbelievable what
Yeah.
this man went through, but it
Mhm.
was his power. I'm forgetting, I'm drawing a blank of the title of the
I
book,
am
but you know what I'm
too.
talking about. I should know,
I am too. We
right?
can slice that in later.
Yeah, Viktor Frankl. Yeah. So his power of choice to choose his outlook and how he was going to work his way out of that hell
Yeah.
is you know, amazing. And
Hmm.
I think of that when I get stuck. I'm like, if Viktor Frankl can
Yeah.
do it, I can, I
Yeah.
can get myself out of whatever, challenge I'm going through at the time.
Totally.
So I do think this mindset has shaped my approach to coaching in my life
Mm.
100%. Solution over suffering, progress over perfection.
Oh, I got to write these down. Yes. Yes.
Right? Do you
Wow.
want to sit there and complain and be stuck and frustrated, or do you want to find the way out? And I say that
Yes.
with all compassion, of course, right?
Absolutely.
I say that I'm a little harsher on myself, of course, but with my
Our-
clients,
yeah.
right? Like there's a way, and we always have the capability of choosing.
Mm.
It's just coming to that point of making the decision. Getting
Hmm.
clear first, right? That's why we go through values, of course,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But then once we're clear, it's then okay, then we have the ability to make the choice.
Right.
And it's always there. Always.
I agree. And I think it's important to note to people that this is not minimizing challenges. It's not sweeping things under the rug. It's your acknowledge, and then figure out how to make the choice from there. And I think people can miss that step where it's like either I'm happy or I'm unhappy. Or I'm happy because of
Mm,
circumstances and I'm happy because things are going well. And it's like that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to let you know no matter whatever curveballs come, whatever career you are in, you can choose to find joy in it, and then you can help them find that. And so often that happiness part is tied up in the vulnerability and in the following our hearts. Of course it is, but it helps to hear it because I think again it just gets lost in the noise.
yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of noise. And I think what it is the choice is often not easy.
Ah, so it doesn't feel happy because it's not easy.
Right. Well, I think we kid or we forget that there is a choice in there in
Mm,
all of our challenges because there's a lot of other things to deal with. It's not perfect. It's not an easy choice. Some things need to be shifted or let go of in order to make some of those choices. So how do we recognize that,
mm,
right? And lose sight of the choice being there because
yes,
it's always there, but we can get distracted by our discomfort with the people pleasing or setting the boundary, saying no to something so that we can say yes to ourselves.
right, right. Oh, how brilliant is that, by the way? Saying no to something to say yes to ourselves. Now there's a choice. There's a choice for happiness
Yeah.
every time. Wow. Wow.
So I
So
think it's
go,
I think
go.
it's that like you said, it's not always an easy choice, but that's also not how happiness is derived, right? We're not often happy by things. We think that, right? We think it should be easy and we think that happiness should just come to us and it's all easy peasy, but
Yeah.
really it's the oftentimes the fulfillment, and I this relates back to the career satisfaction. The fulfillment also often comes through the journey, through when we integrate it with our what's deeply meaningful to us. And oftentimes what is deeply meaningful to us is something that is healing for us or something that we had to work earnestly for.
Right. Totally. Oh, totally. And that's the not happy part. It's almost like having to, you have to if you will, make the choice to go through the unhappy sometimes to get to the happy rather than just staying mired in the unhappy. Because that is easier. It's easier to just complain. And it's easier to just kind of be miserable, which is, it's
Yeah.
counterintuitive, but it's true. Hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So the choice is there. But it's recognizing that it's not always easy, but being supported and like how do you work through the stuff that
Hmm.
helps clarify it so that you do feel empowered to make choices.
Yeah. That's also true because if we don't see it as if we don't see happiness as a choice, it could be because we're not allowing ourselves to be empowered enough to see it as a choice. I'm destined to be unhappy, or I have to wait again till everything lines up and then I can be happy. But if we're empowered to say, no, I'm taking control of my life, my career, what I'm doing, and I'm going to choose happiness, that's huge. That power part. So
Yeah.
you're obviously good at choosing happiness in your life. Can you share some of the tools that you have in your metaphorical or actual toolbox?
For choosing or just in general, like overall tools.
I'm going to say overall
Overall,
tools from
yeah.
the magnificent coach you are.
I seriously considered being a life coach on life design at one point because I have a lot of tools and it is an art of mine of like creating, designing my life. But I'll just share an overview.
Please.
Um, and I'll get back to your decision making too. I'll think if I have one specifically for decision making.
Okay.
But in general, right, I think daily practice is so important, right? If we're looking at kind of general tools and then getting specific tools for specific goals. But gratitude is 100%, right? We need to keep filling our cup. When we're dealing with challenge or even the challenge of making a career change or a tough decision, we need to fill our cup first. I do have a daily practice, morning and evening. Those are my anchors. And
Mm,
sometimes that varies based upon what I need. Sometimes the gratitude is, it can be as simple as like, I'm looking out this window and it's beautiful blue, clear sky, and I see this bird flying ahead. That makes me happy. And I
yeah.
can connect to that simple joy. And it's always there for me. I can always
Mm,
choose that. So, but sometimes it's more, depending on if what I'm feeling I'm low on, I'll kind of shift that gratitude practice. Sometimes it's my why. If I'm feeling like my work is hard or what I'm doing is hard, I'll shift that gratitude to focus on, well, what is my why for today?
yes.
If I'm feeling
Wow.
kind of insecure or self-doubt, we also have it. It never goes away. We just get better at answering the chatter, right? So
Hmm.
sometimes it's recognize the greatness in me. So that could be my gratitude practice. So evening before I get out of bed and before I set my head down, that's a practice. Immersing in nature is huge for me.
Hmm.
It's a cleanser. It's just
Yeah.
nature is beauty. And if there were perfection, it would be nature. I know perfection
Yes.
doesn't exist, but if it
That's
were, it's in
right.
nature.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
happy place. I love trail running and hiking in particularly.
Mm,
I love the strength building. It's hard. The trail running is hard, but I like
mm,
that. And it helps me
hmm.
take on the physical challenge, helps me take on other challenges. I do find it
Mm,
kind of transfers over into professionally as well.
hmm.
Music and dance. I think you share the same. I was laughing as I was reading your book, Rachel, because I do the same thing. I'll put on music. I try to do it daily. I don't get to it every day, but I do dance daily. A
Yeah.
silly little dance in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
Life is too short. We take things too seriously. You gotta switch it up and you gotta have
Yep.
some fun. So I try to put on some music
I love that.
and dance, a little dance move. My partner laughs at me because he knows he's used to my little dances.
Right.
So music and dance are essential. I'm a reader over TV. I
Mm,
believe we need to be proactive. The guarding again of protecting what goes into our psyche.
hmm.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of knowledge out there. So I'm a reader. I choose to be selective on what I want to put in and feed
Mm,
my mind and my soul. Journaling, of course. I particularly love dream journaling. I pay attention to my dreams, and I've trained myself
mm,
over the years to capture my dreams. And they're very insightful for career direction as well. And just aside from career, but just our motivations, our underlying
mm.
motivations. So
Oh,
Those are just a handful of my favorites. There's so many.
yeah.
Um,
I resonate with the nature as well because when you're out in nature and you hear birds singing and you see trees that are thousands of years old, or you see, we live near mountains where you see mountains that are older than, millions and millions of years old. It's this great perspective of I'm just one being in the workings of the universe. So really, how awful is this problem? Or that to say, I'm a being in this universe and I have the right to be here and make my so it goes both ways. And just that getting out
yeah,
of ourselves and getting out of our usual space just helps with the clarity. And you come back from a trail run or a walk or a hike and you're like, okay, now I can tackle whatever whatever life's gonna throw at me.
absolutely. I actually do a walking meditation, I call it, or a running, whatever,
Oh,
depending if I'm
wow.
hiking or running. I actually do it's 100% clears my head. And I do a lot of my thought process and thinking and planning on my runs and my hikes. So um,
How would
it's
one do a walking meditation? Can you share a little bit about how one would do that?
I don't have a specific process for it, but I do, kind of think about what I'm trying to sort out in my head,
Oh,
whether
I
it's
see.
like planning something or a challenge, I'll go through thought work, which, is a little, there is a step process that we go
Right.
through in my program to show you how to do thought work. And it is best to write it out. But since I've been doing it for 10 plus years, that particular tool, I can go through it mentally in my head. So
Mm,
it's just a great place in that environment that's very open, very
yes.
free, very expansive for me to be more free thinking. That's how it
Right.
resonates for me. So a lot of times it's that limiting belief. It's we're stuck on that track. So
Yeah.
being out in nature, even physically, just opens up the literal physical space. But I feel it connects, it kind of resonates with my brain and my mind to help open up some
Does.
space there.
I'm kind of picturing somebody running around a track with headphones on. Like, I have to do this. This is my exercise. This versus someone doing a thought meditation in nature. It's sort of the same exercise, if you will, but completely
Yeah.
different mentally.
Yeah, sometimes it's I'm talking through it. Either sometimes like out to myself. There's no one around, so no
Right,
one can really hear.
right,
So
right.
sometimes I'm literally talking through it myself or thinking it through, but it's the mental processes happening.
I cannot wait to try this. I'm very excited. This is awesome. Well, I was going to say we have to direct people to you where they can find you, where they can find all of your good information. We'll have it on a placard at the end, and we'll also have it everywhere when we post the podcast. But can you at least share where we can find you and your amazing coaching company, please?
Yeah, for sure. So listeners can find more about my Discovery of True Calling program and sign up for a free discovery call, like we talked about,
Mhm.
um, and connect with me through my website, NicoleTrincia.com.
Okay.
You can also follow me on Instagram at Nicole.Trincia. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I'm currently enrolling a new group into my 12-week program starting October 1st.
Oh,
So that
yay!
so
Good
that you can
timing.
so that we can kick off 2025 with clarity, confidence, authenticity, and of course, happiness.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That sounds amazing. You are such an inspiration to me and to everybody listening. And I just applaud you for taking everything you've gone through to build this beautiful coaching practice where you can really help others based on your experience and your training. And I just think you're just a gift. You're really a gift to the world. And I'm honored to have shared this space with you and to know you, really. Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's my pleasure. And my greatest gift is to give back. I feel it's my duty, and my greatest gift is to inspire other women that may be struggling um, with self-doubt, with people pleasing, with perfectionism, as I did, and be
Mhm.
able to empower them to make bold choices for the career and the life that they love and the happiness they deserve.
Oh.